Right now at 5, a local group makes a donation to the Lafayette House in Joplin.
And it's another cold one for us this morning. We do have a temporary warm up on the way, and then there's those snow chances we're talking about. We'll take a look at your forecast coming up.
And KOAM makes its way down to the Carl Junction schools to pick up the toys gathered for this year's Toy Box.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So it's yet again cold. It is December, so I mean it's supposed to be cold, but I think we're starting to get used to it. You know, it didn't seem as miserable when I went out this morning. I was still cold. Don't get me wrong. I was cold, but it wasn't as miserable. I think I'm starting to adapt a little bit to how cold it's getting, but it's still going to get even colder as we head into the next several days. And there's the snow chances that we are keeping an eye on. So this really hasn't changed a lot since yesterday. We're going to stay cold through Saturday, and then we'll be slightly milder on Sunday. And then there's those snow chances possible on Monday that we're keeping an eye on. Okay, that's what happens when you press buttons too fast. 27 in Joplin right now. Clear skies, west-southwest breeze of 10 makes it feel like 17 out there. Cold temps across the region, 2068 Center, 27 Parsons, 27 Carthage, Lamar, and up to 30 rather in Anderson. MoDOT camera, I-44 and range line, we're looking good. Green light for your morning drive as we're clear and cold, and same for your drive home. We'll be clear and cold today. Kids getting on the bus, some of them for the last time for the next couple of weeks. We're looking at 28 degrees at 7 a.m. with mostly clear skies. West wind starts to pick up again, and like yesterday, could gust upwards of about 30 miles an hour. 37 partly cloudy by 3 o'clock. Heading for a high today, about 38 degrees, so a little cooler than yesterday, but again, plenty of sunshine out there. We'll have mostly clear to partly cloudy skies. And as we drop into tonight, we're looking at a low of 25 degrees under mostly clear skies. So it's still going to remain cold. As we head into Sunday, it's going to get a little bit milder, but we're still watching those snow chances, and we've seen some updated information come out on possible accumulations. We're going to take a look at all of that a little later in the show.
All right, a lot to talk about, that's for sure. All right, thanks, Chris. A former youth minister in Joplin is going to prison in a child porn case. 25-year-old Nicholas Stevens pled guilty to receiving and distributing child pornography. A judge sentenced him to 6 years in federal prison without parole. Stevens was formerly the youth minister at St. Paul's United Methodist Church in Joplin. On Thursday, schools and cities in southeast Kansas were impacted after internet fiber lines were cut. According to the Pittsburgh State University, both fiber links between Pittsburgh and Kansas City, as well as between Pittsburgh and Wichita, were cut. If both are out, that breaks the network ring for the internet. CanRen, the internet company, has since resolved the issue. The outage impacted institutions regionally, including Pittsburgh, Frontenac, and Fort Scott. The city of Pittsburgh has a new mayor. Pittsburgh City Commissioners elected Dr. Ron Sigley as the mayor for the new year. Sigley was born and raised in Franklin, Kansas, and has lived in Pittsburgh for many years and worked as a family doctor in Pittsburgh since 1979. He also has 34 years combined active and reserve duty service with the U.S. Army Reserves. His term will expire in December of next year. A Fort Scott preschool is changing locations. Fort Scott Preschool is moving to a wing of the bottom floor of Mercy Hospital in Fort Scott. Superintendent says the move comes as the current preschool location is split between two buildings.
And we needed more space. So we went out and looked at it, and I think it'll work out perfectly for what we want. It'll have a secure entrance on the front. It'll have a secure closure on the back end of the hallway, and we won't be interacting with any of the health people or anything else. So I think it's going to be really a great location for us.
Brown says the move is expected to take place in August. More and more people are switching to electric vehicles, but one of the main problems facing EV owners is a lack of charging stations, especially in more rural areas like the 4 states. The Biden administration this year announced a $5 billion plan to create a nationwide network of EV charging stations over the next 5 years. We caught up with an EV driver in Galena, Kansas, making his way along Route 66, raising awareness about the growing need. He says the vehicles are pretty fast.
Oh my God. So the performance of this is I could be sitting at a light, and when I punch it, it's 100% all torque. So I'm gone. I mean, they're before they can get up to speed with the regular gas car. This thing goes from 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds, 4 seconds.
Pretty fast. There are different kinds of EV chargers, with the fastest level 3 chargers able to charge a battery in about half an hour. A local group made a donation to the Lafayette House in Joplin. The group is Amateur Radio Emergency Services Operators in Jasper County. They make donations every year. This year, they decided to give to the Lafayette House, which helps people dealing with domestic violence.
Non-perishable goods, toys, and some clothing items, socks, gloves, blankets, things like that, so that, hopefully they'll be able to supply some needs for the unfortunate individuals that are staying here.
The Lafayette House is located at 1809 South Connor in Joplin. Watered Gardens in Joplin presented the funds gathered from the 10th annual Empty Bowls event. The Empty Bowls event is a chance for patrons to purchase a handcrafted pottery bowl, enjoy a serving of soup, and take the bowl home as a reminder that someone somewhere is hungry. In all, Watered Gardens raised more than $7,000.
We're glad to be able to pass these funds along. We know they're going to go to feed people. Every bowl sold represents around 15 meals. So when you think about the numbers, we've been able to provide enough meals, around 19,000 meals from this event, which is very exciting for these organizations.
Does anyone have anything to comment?
Funds were split between 4 area organizations, including Watered Gardens. It's never too late to make a kid's Christmas brighter. Carl Junction Schools helped KOAM's Toy Box campaign with a donation of 128 toys of their own. On Thursday, we picked up the toy donations, and this wasn't the school district's only charitable holiday project.
We put some incentives in there for them. So like we've done it in, it's been an individual class versus class thing. This year we were gonna do a movie if they reached 300 toys. We didn't reach that, so we're not doing the movie, but we try to put incentives, but the biggest incentive is just the fact that they can help some of the kids in our area.
Now, we are no longer taking Toy Box donations for this year, but we want to, again, thank every supporter who sent a donation, big or small. Your efforts go a long way for families in need. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, the Frontenac Raiders go toe-to-toe on the mat against the Webb City Cardinals. We'll have who wrestled their way to victory. Plus, a Fairfax, Iowa man puts on a light show that helps raise awareness and funds for suicide prevention. And more than 7 million incorrect diagnoses are made in U.S. ERs every year. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Well, Frontenac wrestling in action yesterday afternoon. The Raiders on the road facing the Webb City Cardinals. Jumping right in at 126 pounds, Frontenac's Cash Wilderman gets it done in the first period, a win by Penn. The Raiders' first of the day. And then the next match, Bergen Sounder picks up 3 points in the first period on the near fall. He finishes the job, gets the pin, makes it 21-6 Raiders. Then Colt Taylor gets the Webb City student section on their feet. He delivers with the fall in the second period. Later, at 190 pounds, Jacob Holt helps put this one away, scores in the second, then holds him down for the pin. Frontenac beats Webb City 39-27. The Galena Bulldogs are 3-0 to start the season. They're at home, hosting a CNC matchup. Galena hitting the floor against the Girard Trojans. And it's all Bulldogs to start. Jack Perry on fire, hits the 3 from the far side. Then we get Ty Hall making the pass, or taking the pass rather, knocks it down. Galena up 12-1. They stay rolling. Great pass from Malachi Wesley. Perry with the finish. Third quarter, Girard tightens things up. Tommy McDowell is going to lay it in. That puts the Trojans within 10. Later on the other end, Tyler Little, aggressive inside, gets the bucket and foul. Galena wins it. It's fourth straight, beating Girard 55-44. On the girls' side, Girard rolls by Galena 55-36. Big night for Emmeline Sinnecott. She finishes with a team-high 19 points. Riley Brooks also in double figures. She adds 15. Missouri Southern men head into the winter break with some momentum. The Lions are 7-4 on a 3-game winning streak. Team is dealing with a few key injuries, but guys have stepped up and made an impact. Avery Taggart, Vincent Sigmund, and Winston Desiso are all averaging over 10 points per game this season.
Vincent Sigmund has been tremendous. That's not easy, taking over the point guard spot a little bit into the season. And then Winston Desiso has been awesome these past 3 games, just with his attitude, his leadership, and his defensive prowess out there. And he's shooting the ball extremely well right now. We need that. And then Avery Taggart has been awesome too. All 3 of those guys can come off a ball screen and make the correct read, and so that's hard to guard.
Still to come, Mexican Senator dons a dinosaur costume to protest an election reform bill. Plus, we got another check of that chilly forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Topping Health Watch this morning, a startling new report finds only 14% of diagnosed cancers are detected by recommended screening. The majority of cases are found when someone is seeking medical care for other reasons. The report was released Wednesday by a nonprofit research organization at the University of Chicago. It noted that just 4 types of cancer, breast, cervical, colorectal, and lung, have recommended screening tests with varied degrees of detection. 61% of breast cancer cases are found by screening. Lung cancer, just 3%. Prostate cancer screening, while not broadly recommended, detects a large majority of cases at 77%. Cancer is the second leading cause of death in the U.S. Researchers hope this will draw attention to the need for more data on testing and how cancers are diagnosed. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has updated its growth chart for obese children and teens. Healthcare providers use standardized charts to track growth from infancy through adolescence, but they have not kept up with rising obesity levels. The old obesity chart was based on data from 1963 to 1980 and only went up to the 97th percentile. The new extended one incorporates recent data and goes to higher body mass index values. CDC says it is not changing the chart for those who are not obese. According to the agency, more than 4.5 million children and teens were considered severely obese in 2017 and 2018. A government study found more than 7 million people are misdiagnosed in U.S. emergency rooms every year. That means about 1 in 18 patients are getting the wrong diagnoses. According to the Department of Health and Human Services report, 2.6 million people had preventable harm done to them. Another 370,000 are permanently disabled or died because of the misdiagnosis. Most missed conditions include stroke, heart attack, aortic aneurysm, spinal cord injury, and blood clots. Researchers say nonspecific or atypical symptoms are the strongest factors leading to diagnostic mistakes. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
We are continuing to track the chances of snow across the area as we head into next week. We'll update you on the latest accumulation possibilities and how much snow or how long the snow will last and the cold temperatures that are going to follow when we come back. Oh, we're starting off with another cold day for us today, and it's going to stay cold at least through tomorrow. And then we'll have a slightly milder day for us as we head into Sunday, and then we're watching those snow chances as we head into Monday. Right now in Joplin, we are clear, but we are cold. 27 degrees, west-southwest breeze at 10, making it feel like 17 out there. Across the region, we got 26 Yates Center, 25 Iola, 28 Pittsburgh, 29 Miami, and 27 Lamar and Carthage as we start the day. MoDOT camera, I-44 and range line looks pretty good. We got a green light for the morning drive as we are clear but cold. Same for the drive home. We're going to be clear but cold. Kids getting on the bus, most of them for the last time for the next couple of weeks or so. We're looking at 28 degrees at 7 a.m. West wind starts picking up again like it did yesterday. And then we could see gusts this afternoon upwards of 30, otherwise partly cloudy, 37 at 3 o'clock. We're heading for a high today of 38 degrees with some partly cloudy skies out there, so not a bad day whatsoever. And as we head into tonight, we get colder, dropping back down to 25 degrees under mostly clear skies. So the future track as we head through the weekend stays dry, stays calm. And then Monday morning, here comes our next system. Could bring us a bit of a rain-snow mix initially, and then it will transition to just plain old snow by the afternoon, and it will stay that way and hang on into Tuesday morning. And then after that, it gets downright cold, and then we see additional snow chances later. So 38 tomorrow, 44 on Sunday, 33 by Monday with those snow chances Right now, the latest computer models are indicating maybe 3 to 5 inches of snow possible, but as we head through the weekend, we'll have more refined forecast information by the time we head into Monday. Cloudy and cold Tuesday, Wednesday, down to 5 degrees by next Thursday with some snow chances there as well. And again, still a ways out, but could pick up another 1 to 2 inches. Cloudy Friday, 10 degrees, down to 5. Oh yeah, by the way, Thursday, down to 0. 17 on Saturday, maybe some flurries on Christmas Eve day, and then on Christmas Day itself, maybe some flurries, 15 degrees. And this graphic doesn't go that far out, but right now, the low on Christmas Day looking to be -4. We'll let that sink in for a second. Is a possibility. That's going to be cold. Well, Gary Hahn of Fairfax, Iowa, has been putting up a Christmas light display for a decade now. The last 4 years have included animated lights synced up to music. But last year was the first year he started using his display to raise awareness of suicide after losing a loved one.
Display you cannot miss when driving on Driftwood Lane in Fairfax.
We have roughly 40,000 lights. It takes about a month to set up.
All of the hard work comes with a special mission to raise money for the Hope Walk in Cedar Rapids, a group that walks each September to raise awareness for suicide prevention. Hahn started the fundraiser last year after losing his brother-in-law.
Suicide has impacted my life, so once that happened, I kind of realized that there's a lot more people in need.
The Hope Walk says 44 people died of suicide last year in Lynn County alone. Hahn was able to raise $615 for the organization at that time. This year, his goal is $1,000.
Mental illness is definitely real, and we need to raise more awareness towards it.
The Hope Walk helps fund suicide prevention efforts around Lynn County. Hahn and his family walk each September, and in December, his lights shine bright, bringing attention to suicide while making a difference, one free will donation at a time.
It means a lot just to help the community. I like bringing smiles to people's faces, and synchronized lights is just a hobby that I can put a smile on a family's face for coming out and enjoying a free show.
A show for a cause that's touched his life and too many others.
Now, Hahn's display will be up until January the 8th. And that brings us to our question for you this morning. Do you raise awareness for any particular causes? You can vote yes or no through our website at koamnewsnow.com/vote. You can also do so through our app and participate in the discussion on our Facebook page. We're going to be back with more right after this.
Right now at 5:30, a local group makes a donation to the Lafayette House in Joplin.
We got dry roads out there and cold conditions, and that's going to stick around that way for the next couple of days, but big changes in the forecast. We'll break them down coming up.
And KOAM makes its way down to the Carl Junction School District to pick up toys gathered for this year's Toy Box.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:28. I'm Tanya Buck.
I'm Chris Warner. So another cold one for us across the area, but that's how it's supposed to be in December. But don't get me wrong, our highs and lows are just a pinch below where they should be. So a little colder than what we should be for this time of year. It is going to remain cold out there. We are clear in Joplin right now, 27 degrees. A breeze out of the west-southwest at 10 makes it feel like 17. Temperatures across the region, and again, a cold start for us. 26 Yates Center, 28 Chanute, 28 Pittsburgh, 29 Miami, and some 27s, Lamar, Carthage, Monette, and Neosho this morning. MoDOT camera at I-44 and Rangeline. We're looking good because the roads are clear, and we've got a green light for that morning drive as we remain clear and cold. Partly cloudy and cold later today, but your evening drive looking all right. Kids getting on the bus for probably the last time for the next couple of weeks. 28 at 7 a.m. West wind starts to pick up, and just like yesterday, could gust up to about 30 this afternoon. 37 by 3 o'clock. Partly cloudy. We'll be partly cloudy through most of today, heading for a high of 38 degrees. And as we head into tonight, we drop back down to a low of 25 under mostly clear skies. But what we are watching is not this weekend, because as a matter of fact, as we head into Sunday, we're looking at getting into the low 40s. It's Monday when this storm system comes in and starts to bring us some snowfall across the area. It's not our only chance of snow next week, but it's our first one. And it's getting close enough now that we're starting to get some more refined information from the computer models. And we're looking at the possibility of around 3 to 5 inches on Monday with this snow. Again, those will be updated through the weekend. Sam Lane will be here through the weekend, so you'll want to make sure you tune into the weekend KOAM news for the latest forecast amounts. I think by the time we get to Monday, I think Monday morning, we're going to be all right. I think right after our morning shows in, say around 8 o'clock or so, is when we're going to start to see this move in. So Monday morning, we'll give you the most up-to-date information we've got on this incoming snow, and we'll update you on the snow later in the week as well, because it's going to get downright cold next week.
All right, well, I'm not looking forward to that super drop in temperatures.
No, by Wednesday of this upcoming week, the bottom really just falls out.
Yeah, it does. It sure does. All right, thanks, Chris. On Thursday, schools and cities in southeast Kansas were impacted after internet fiber lines were cut. According to Pittsburgh State University, both fiber links between Pittsburgh and Kansas City, as well as between Pittsburgh and Wichita, were cut. If both are out, that breaks the network ring for internet. CanRen, the internet company, has since resolved the issue. The outage impacted institutions regionally, including Pittsburgh, Frontenac, and Fort Scott. A former youth minister in Joplin is going to prison in a child porn case. 25-year-old Nicholas Stevens pled guilty to receiving and distributing child pornography. A judge sentenced him to 6 years in federal prison without parole. Stevens was formerly the youth minister at St. Paul's United Methodist Church, in Joplin. City of Pittsburgh has a new mayor. Pittsburgh City Commissioners elected Dr. Ron Siegley as the mayor for the new year. Siegley was born and raised in Franklin, Kansas, and has lived in Pittsburgh for many years and worked as a family doctor in Pittsburgh since 1979. He also has 34 years combined active and reserve duty service within the U.S. Army Reserves. His term will expire in December of next year. More and more people are switching to electric vehicles. But one of the main problems facing EV owners is a lack of charging stations, especially in more rural areas like the 4 states. The Biden administration this year announced a $5 billion plan to create a nationwide network of EV charging stations over the next 5 years. We caught up with an EV driver making his way along Route 66, raising awareness about the growing need.
Get it recognized that it is a problem, and with locals. Local communities, they need to start working on putting in more EV charging stations. It's going to come to a point where it's going to be mandated that there'll be an EV charging station at least every 50 miles.
There are a few different kinds of EV chargers, with the fastest, level 3 chargers, able to charge a battery in about half an hour. Well, a local group made a donation to the Lafayette House in Joplin. The group is the Amateur Radio Emergency Services Operators in Jasper County. They make donations every year, but this year decided to give to the Lafayette House because of its work helping those dealing with domestic violence.
To have such a surprise gift that can go towards anything that we are needing. And at this time of the year, there can be such a multitude of things, especially people who are coming in at the last minute emergency during a holiday season.
The Lafayette House is located at 1809 South Connor in Joplin. Watered Gardens in Joplin presented the funds gathered from the 10th annual Empty Bowls event. The Empty Bowls event is a chance for patrons to purchase a handcrafted pottery bowl, enjoy a serving of soup, and take the bowl home as a reminder that someone somewhere is hungry. In all, Watered Gardens raised more than $7,000.
The funds for the Empty Bowls event all goes towards local hunger relief, and the way we've organized it with Watered Gardens Ministries, all of the money goes to local nonprofits that are 100% privately funded that have a food component to their ministry, and we feel like that's the best way to distribute those funds.
The funds were split between 4 area organizations, including Watered Gardens. It's never too late to make a kid's Christmas brighter, and Carl Junction Schools helped KOAM's Toy Box campaign with a donation of 128 toys of their own. We picked up the toy donations this Thursday, and it wasn't the school district's only charitable holiday project.
A really high turnout on our canned food drive before Thanksgiving, and a lot of times it's a little bit lower because people are kind of stretched. But this year, yeah, we had 128, which is lower than we had wanted and lower than we had in years past, but it's still a really good turnout.
We're no longer taking Toy Box donations for this year, but we want to again thank every supporter who sent a donation, big or small. Your efforts go a long way for families in need. Well, the Independence Library has a unique employee, and it's not one you would typically expect. KOAM takes you to meet Trixie, the library cat.
She just meanders around the library. The library's 3 floors. A lot of times the people think that she's a stray and we've got to shoo her out, because they'll come in and they'll go, oh, there's a cat in the library. And we go, yeah, that's our library cat. That's Trixie.
So she just showed up, and she matches the library decor perfectly. She's gray and blonde and has green eyes, which a lot of our decor is like that. She just fits right in.
If she's out walking about, they'll come up, oh, what a pretty kitty. And of course, they'll pet her and talk to her. And of course, the kids all love her, you know.
Trixie was dropped off at the library around Neowalla 14 years ago, and she is probably the biggest asset to our library. Everybody loves her. She's been featured in a German magazine about cats. She's kind of a global sensation.
And as you can see, they even have shirts with Trixie's photo on them.
I love it.
That's so cool. I want to meet Trixie.
We need a cat employee here at the station.
Of course, we have a dog.
We have 2 dogs.
Yes.
They're not ours, but they hang out at the station. But they don't come inside.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we should hire one of them. Just saying.
No, they're good dogs. They stay at the door. They do not come in.
That's not entirely true. I've had to stop them from coming in a couple of times.
Well, you need to use your dad voice with them.
Well, one of them's as big as I am.
Yes.
Anyway, it's true. It's true.
It doesn't take much.
That's very true. That's very true.
Anyway, that Trixie is at the library in Independence, Kansas, if you want to go meet her in person.
Might be worth a trip out there.
All right, this morning we are discussing raising awareness to causes.
It's known as Driftwood Lights. It's a display you can't miss when driving on Driftwood Lane in Fairfax, Iowa. All of the hard work comes with a special mission to raise money for the Hope Walk in Cedar Rapids, a group that walks each September to raise awareness for suicide prevention.
Man behind the light show, Gary Hahn, started the fundraiser last year after losing his brother-in-law. The Hope Walk says 44 people died of suicide last year in Lynn County, Iowa alone. Hahn was able to raise $615 for the organization at that time. This year, his goal is $1,000.
That brings us to our question for you. Do you raise awareness for any particular causes? Yes or no? So far, 100% of you say that you do not, but you're able to vote through our website at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. You can also do so through our app and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. Maybe share some causes that are special to you.
All right. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, deck the halls with lots of corgis. Corgis become the star of the annual pup parade near Buckingham Palace.
Plus, some cows looking for greener pastures in England help the police capture a criminal. Well, the latest.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, the international police agency Interpol has issued a yellow notice for missing American college student Kenny Delan Jr. Yellow notices are issued to help locate missing people or help identify those who are not able to identify themselves. The notice says the 21-year-old who was studying abroad disappeared in Grenoble, France on November 27th. His father, Kenneth Sr., said Thursday morning he was told by authorities that Interpol is now involved. When asked if that meant the student had crossed a border, Grenoble's prosecutor had no comment. Mexico's Senate passed a controversial electoral reform bill, and one opposition lawmaker had a peculiar way to show her disagreement. Senator Xochitl Galvez wore a dinosaur costume in the chamber, oh wow, as the proposed legislation was up for a vote, carrying a sign saying Jurassic Plan. The moment was captured on the country's Congress channel as the chairman asked her to respect the process. The opposing party says Plan B, as the proposal pushed by President Lopez Obrador is known, seeks to eliminate the governing body in charge of organizing elections in Mexico. Less than 2 years away from 2024 elections, Lopez Obrador says his initiative fulfills a promise to voters to adopt a policy of austerity while creating electoral authorities that guarantee legitimate elections without the possibility of fraud. The bill is now headed to the lower chamber, where it is expected to pass. Well, British nurses are walking out of hospitals and onto picket lines in a historic strike as pay and staffing crises threaten the NHS. As many as 100,000 members of the Royal College of Nursing, the UK's biggest nursing union, are expected to take industrial action, the latest and most unprecedented in a wave of strikes sweeping Britain this winter. The strike is taking place over 2 days, Thursday and next Tuesday. It marks one of the most dramatic uses of industrial action in the 74-year history of the NHS. It will be the largest strike in the RCN's 106-year history. The RCN is calling for a pay raise of 5% above retail inflation and for the government to fill a record number of staff vacancies that it argues is jeopardizing patient safety. When it comes to fighting the climate crisis, scientists have found an important ally that's often overlooked. Researchers say whales can store up to 150 tons of planet-heating carbon emissions. A paper published Thursday in Trends in Ecology and Evolution says these giants can store carbon much more effectively than smaller animals. Whales are also important carbon sinks because of their lifespan. Some live up to 100 years or more, making them one of the largest stable living carbon pools in the ocean. Even when they die, whale carcasses sink to the sea floor, where they continue to store the carbon. 6 out of 13 great whale species are now endangered or vulnerable. Researchers say protecting these whales has a double benefit, helping biodiversity and climate change. Well, the countdown to Christmas is on with just 9 days to go, and people are not the only ones feeling festive. Across the pond in Britain, tails are wagging with excitement, as Tina Kraus reports from London.
In London this Christmas, Santa's just along for the ride. The corgis are the stars of the show at the annual pup parade near Buckingham Palace.
Where did you come?
This will be the first Christmas without Queen Elizabeth II, who helped elevate corgis to royalty in the UK. She owned nearly 30 of the small herding dogs during her life.
We will carry on the tradition, and I know the Queen is looking at us.
Dozens of corgis and their companions paraded in style, looking rather fetching as they remembered the late monarch.
Love the Queen very much, so yes, it's all very sad and special.
But there was plenty of fun, too, trying to snap festive photos outside the palace where the Queen's corgis were pampered during her reign. And it seems all these playful pups have on their wish list this year is a little love. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
When Queen Elizabeth died back in September, her 2 corgis, Mick and Sandy, were reportedly right by her side. They're now being cared for by the Queen's son, Prince Andrew, and his ex-wife. Let's look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
It's going to be cold. It's going to stay that way. In fact, it's only going to get colder. We are 27 in Joplin right now, feeling like 17 degrees with some clear skies. Across the area, still cold. 26 Yates Center, 25 Iola, 27 Parsons, 28 Chatopa, 29 Miami, and just a smattering of 27s in southwest Missouri, in Nevada, Lamar, Carthage, Monette, Neosho, even in Stockton. So that's where our temperatures stand. Here we are on our commuter cast. We've got a pretty good look at I-44 range line. We're looking good for your morning drive. We are clear and cold, and for your drive home, we are partly cloudy and cold. Kids getting on the bus last time for a couple of weeks. I'm sure they're excited about it. We're looking at 28 degrees by 7 a.m. That west wind starts to pick up like yesterday. Could gust to 30 later. 37 by 3 o'clock under partly cloudy skies. For today, we're heading for a high of 38 degrees with those partly cloudy skies across the area. And tonight, we're going to drop back down to 25 under mostly clear skies. And then it's the 7-day and 10-day forecasts where things get interesting. 38 tomorrow, 44 Sunday, partly cloudy. System comes in Monday. 33 snow, likely starting in the morning hours and lasting into the afternoon, possibly into early Tuesday morning. Down to 23 for the low. Latest computer models think maybe 3 to 5 inches. But of course, as we head through the weekend, Sam Lane will have much more refined information for you by Sunday night. Cold Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 degrees Thursday with snow possible. And again, possibly another inch or so out of that. Down to 0 Thursday night, 10 on Friday, maybe some flurries Christmas Eve day and on Christmas Day itself. 17 on the 24th, down to 5 degrees Christmas Eve and only 15 degrees for Christmas Day. And while this graphic doesn't show it, the models are showing -4 for the low Christmas Day night. So it's going to get downright frigid over the next several days, making these temperatures feel like summer-like weather. We got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A former youth minister in Joplin is going to prison in a child porn case. 25-year-old Nicholas Stevens pled guilty to receiving and distributing child pornography. A judge sentenced him to 6 years in federal prison without parole. Stevens was formerly the youth minister at St. Paul's United Methodist Church in Joplin. City of Pittsburgh has a new mayor. Pittsburgh City Commissioners elected Dr. Ron Sigley as the mayor for the new year. Sigley was born and raised in Franklin, Kansas, and has lived in Pittsburgh for many years and worked as a family doctor in Pittsburgh since 1979. He also has 34 years combined active and reserve duty service with the U.S. Army Reserves. His term will expire in December of next year. On Thursday, schools and cities in southeast Kansas were impacted after an internet fiber line was cut. According to the Pittsburgh State University, both fiber links between Pittsburgh and Kansas City, as well as between Pittsburgh and Wichita, were cut. If both are out, that breaks the network ring for internet. CanRen, the internet company, has since resolved the issue. The outage impacted institutions regionally, including in Pittsburgh, Frontenac, and Fort Scott. Well, humans are not the only ones who need to watch out for the flu this season. Although this pooch is healthy, there's a rise in flu cases this winter among canines. The dog flu is contracted between dogs and cannot spread to humans. A veterinarian at Broadway Animal Hospital in Pittsburgh says they treated around 30 dogs within the past 2 weeks that tested positive for the flu. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. When police are chasing someone, they appreciate help from wherever they can get it, even if that happens to be from a herd of cows. Yup. Jenny Moose reports on how they put a fleeing suspect out to pasture.
Holy cow! Police in Devon, England got an assist from livestock stalking a suspect through a field.
He's actually being chased by some cows at the moment.
The National Police Air Service posted the thermal imaging video with puns galore, saying it was a high-stakes incident. The thin moo line is how one headline described it. It was a slow-speed cow chase, eventually leading the suspect to run right into the arms of the law. No question. It's usually the cows that get herded. But this time, the bovines themselves were the ones hurting the man, like a reverse Western. Keep them doggies moving right. When police on the ground thanked their counterpart from the Air Service, he said,
"Thank the cows."
A much faster speed cow chase was recorded in Florida 4 years ago. It started after a stolen SUV crashed and a female suspect took off across a pasture.
Actually, the large group of cows is following her. Looks like they may attack her.
But she managed to get under the fence and under arrest. Whether these bovine crime fighters are in Florida or England, there was nothing medium rare about these cows. Theirs was a job declared well done.
Hit 'em up! Move 'em out! Rollin', rollin', rollin'. Keep them doggies rollin'.
Jenny Moose, CNN. New York.
And although that helicopter operator kept calling them cows, you know, closer examination of the infrared, I think they might have just been calves, like heifers, you know, maybe 400-pounders or something like that. We'll have to look into it. We'll be right back with more after this. Quote, "The stunning image quality of Webb is truly out of this world." End quote. That's what a research astronomer is saying about the telescope that just captured this stunning image of the universe. James Webb Space Telescope took the picture as part of the Prime Extragalactic Areas for Reionization and Lensing Science Observing Program, or PEARLS. As you can see, the image shows a unique perspective of the universe, including never-before-seen galaxies that glitter like diamonds in the universe. The telescope zoomed in on a part of the sky called the North Ecliptic Pole. It used 8 different colors of near-infrared light to see objects that are 1 billion times fainter than what can be seen with the unaided eye.
We've got a cold day ahead of us today. We're heading for a high of 38 degrees, so below average there. Will be partly cloudy for the majority of the day. We could also see winds gusting upwards of, say, about 30 miles an hour, similar to what we saw yesterday and still out of the west. And then as we head into tonight, again, a little bit below average on this low, down to 25 degrees, but we'll have mostly clear skies. And then as we head into the weekend, it's our last decent bit of weather we've got for a while. 38, mostly clear tomorrow, 44. On Sunday, partly cloudy. It's going to feel like summer compared to the rest of next week. 33, some snow on Monday. Could be upwards of 3 to 5 inches. We'll have better amount totals by the time we get through Sunday, so make sure you tune in for Sam Lane's forecast. Down to 23 Monday night, cloudy and cold Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday, 5 degrees, more snow possible, down to 0. Only 10 by next Friday. 5 Friday night, Christmas Eve day, 17, maybe some flurries, down to 5, and maybe some flurries on Christmas Day itself, 15 degrees with a possible low of -4. We're back with more right after this.
Right now at 6, 'tis the season for the flu. Carrie Worthen sat down with a veterinarian to get some advice on how to protect man's best friend this flu season.
The roads are dry and clear across the area, and they will remain that way for at least the next couple of days, but we got big changes on the way. Your full forecast coming up.
And we talked to the driver of an EV truck headed down Route 66 about the growing need for charging stations in the 4 states.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner, just after 6 a.m. on a finally Friday in the 4 states.
That it is.
Why don't we just go ahead and take the rest of the morning off? You know, we've been here 5 days. I think we'll just go home. You guys got this, right? You know what's going on. We've kind of told you here. It doesn't really
We couldn't do that.
No, we could not.
No.
We love you all too much to just leave you. And we've got things that we need to tell you. From weather to news, there are things you need to know this morning. For example, if you're going to go outside, bundle up. It's cold. 27 degrees in Joplin. It is clear, and with a west breeze at 14, it feels like 16 degrees. We got 25 Iola, 28 Chanute, 27 Chatopa, Miami, Carthage, Lamar, Nevada, Stockton, Monette, and 28 in Neosho. MoDOT camera at I-44 and Rangeline looking pretty good. These roads are looking good for now, but come Monday, it's going to be a different story. Got a green light for your morning drive as we are clear and cold, and a green light for the drive home as we are partly cloudy and cold. Kids get on the bus. Last time for the next couple of weeks or so. 28 degrees at 7 a.m. West wind starts to pick up. And then by this afternoon, by 3, we're looking at 37, partly cloudy. Those gusts, just like yesterday, could push around 30 miles an hour. A little cooler today than yesterday, too. Down to 38 for a high. Partly cloudy skies, below average. And our low tonight, also going to be below average as we drop back down to 25 for our overnight low. Future track through the weekend shows us staying dry and we stay calm. And then it's Monday. This is 2:30 in the morning. We start to see this stuff move in. So it may even get here as early as our morning show time, say around maybe 5:30, 6 a.m. Current model thinking is between 3 and 5 inches of snow. Now, this is probably going to change between now and our noon newscast, so I'll have updated amounts then. Your best information for the most up-to-date amounts, because snow amounts can fluctuate wildly until the day of. And so Sam Lane will be here for the KOAM News at 9 and 10 on Sunday, and he'll have more up-to-date information on how much snow we're looking at. We also have snow possible later next week that could add another 1 to 2 inches, and because of how cold it's going to be, what we get Monday isn't really going to do a lot of melting, so we're going to add to what's going to already be there. So just be prepared for that, but I'm going to be honest, and again, a lot can change, but right now, the way it's looking, a white Christmas is looking more and more likely across the 4
Mainly
states.
because what's out there is going to stick around.
Exactly. We're not necessarily talking snow itself on Christmas Day. We could see some flurries, but we're looking more at what we get next week is not going to go anywhere before Christmas Day. So do be prepared for that as we head into next week, just because it is going to be so cold. We're talking temperatures dropping down into the teens, single digits. Christmas Day night, we're looking at a low possibly of -4.
Wow.
So I mean, Sam actually he left me a note this morning from last night, and he explained it best. He said the bottom really drops out Wednesday. Wednesday is our last day above freezing. After that, temperatures plummet, and it's going to get just downright cold just in time for Christmas. And of course, starting Monday, just like we did for Thanksgiving, we'll have our traveler forecast information for those of you that may be traveling for Christmas week. So we'll have that available for you as well starting on Monday.
A lot to discuss next week. I know a lot of people are going to hit the road early. Their kids will be out of school, so.
Yeah, and I guess that's the one good
aware.
thing is you don't need to worry about snow days necessarily next week. Kids should be out of school, but just do be prepared
No, but cold weather, crappy days that are going to keep the kids indoors on their break.
Yeah, and if you're traveling, you're going to need to be prepared for that because snow that we get, we're not the only ones in the country getting snow over the next week. Some places may get even more, and if you're traveling points up north, you're going to have to be cautious.
There you go. All right, thanks, Chris. Well, a former youth minister in Joplin will go to prison in a child porn case. 25-year-old Nicholas Stevens pled guilty to receiving and distributing child pornography. A judge sentenced him to 6 years in federal prison without parole. Stevens was formerly the youth minister at St. Paul's United Methodist Church in Joplin. On Thursday, some cut fiber lines disrupted the internet services for schools and cities in southeast Kansas. According to Pittsburgh State University, both fiber links between Pittsburgh and Kansas City, as well as between Pittsburgh and Wichita, were cut. If both are out, that breaks the internet ring for the internet. CanRen, the internet company, has since resolved the issue, and the outage impacted institutions regionally, including in Pittsburgh, Frontenac, and Fort Scott. Will the 4 states begin to see more EV charging stations? Well, that's the question. More and more people are switching to electric vehicles, but one of the main problems facing EV owners is a lack of charging stations, especially in more rural areas like the 4 states. The Biden administration this year announced a $5 billion plan to create a nationwide network of EV charging stations over the next 5 years. We caught up with an EV driver in Galena, Kansas, who's making his way along Route 66, raising awareness about the growing need. And he says the vehicles are pretty fast.
Oh my God. So the performance of this is I could be sitting at a light, and when I punch it, it's 100% all torque. So I'm gone. I mean, before they can get up to speed with the regular gas car, this thing goes from 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds, 4 seconds.
There are different kinds of EV chargers, with the fastest, level 3 chargers, able to charge a battery in about half an hour. The city of Pittsburgh welcomes its new mayor. Pittsburgh City Commissioners elected Dr. Ron Sigley as the mayor for the new year. Sigley was born and raised in Franklin, Kansas, and has lived in Pittsburgh for many years and worked as a family doctor in Pittsburgh since 1979. He also has 34 years combined active and reserve duty service with the U.S. Army Reserves. His term will expire in December of next year. The battle over southern border policy heats back up as thousands of migrants make their way into the United States over the last few days. This increase comes as the Trump-era policy Title 42 is set to expire next week. Title 42 allows federal authorities to immediately expel people to Mexico or deport them to their own countries before giving them a chance to claim asylum. Despite Republicans criticizing winding down of the policy, congressional officials tell CBS News negotiations on a bipartisan compromise on U.S. immigration and border policy failed to gain enough support to pass by the end of this year. We'll have more on the latest at the southern border later in the show. Well, local veterinarian reports a rise in flu cases this winter in canines. KOAM's Carrie Worthen spoke with a local vet and dog owner about this flu season.
You're going to be on the news tonight. This little guy named Avocado is happy and healthy, but a Pittsburgh veterinarian says a lot of his canine colleagues aren't so lucky.
It does seem most of the cases that have been sent out for testing are coming back as canine influenza.
Dr. Brandy Lawrence with Broadway Animal Hospital says that in the past 2 weeks they have seen around 30 dogs that have been positive with the flu.
There's several different medications we can do to get them feeling better and just making them more comfortable. Since it is usually a virus, there's nothing we can do to cure it, but there's lots of things that we can do to help them be more comfortable for the week or two that it takes them to kind of recover.
Knowing your dog and when they are acting or looking different is the first step to help this flu season.
He thinks he's for
ferocious, but he's not.
I mean, if he had a cough or an extra runny nose or was lethargic, not eating very well, I would definitely go to the vet and see what's going on.
There are lots of different diseases that can cause coughing in dogs. So notice your dog coughing, go ahead and call your veterinarian and get him seen, and have a Merry Christmas.
So when it comes to your fur babies, you can never be too safe. In Pittsburgh, Carrie Worthen, KOAM News.
Avocado became quite the movie star there. To learn more about the dog flu, you can go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, download the KOAM News app. It is available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, voices calling for a ban on TikTok continue to grow as more states join the list banning the popular social media site on government devices. Plus, the opioid crisis continues to extract a deadly toll on our nation's population, especially among teenagers. And Chris takes another look at your wintry 4-state forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News, more real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning, amid national security concerns, bans on using TikTok on state government devices are going viral across the nation. On Thursday, the governors of Georgia and New Hampshire said the social media platform cannot be used on devices controlled by their states. Skylar Henry reports.
Georgia and New Hampshire are the latest states to ban TikTok from government devices, saying the Chinese government may be able to tap into users' personal information. The app, which is owned by a Chinese company called ByteDance, has more than 1 billion monthly users worldwide.
Your email address, there's your phone number, the Wi-Fi network you're connected with.
It's also manipulating what it is that you see. And the question is, for the national security professionals, do we want China determining what it is that we see here in America?
At least a dozen other governors have taken similar security steps with TikTok. On Capitol Hill, the Senate late Wednesday passed legislation aimed at banning TikTok from federal government devices.
If we could get some actual security guarantees, I think it'd be fine. But if they don't do that, this is really in Joe Biden's court.
I look at a lot of things that are happening that are national security threats, and TikTok could be one.
This week, Florida Republican Senator Marco Rubio introduced a separate measure calling for TikTok to be outlawed from operating in the U.S. And earlier this month, FBI Director Chris Wray expressed concerns about the social media platform.
They also have the ability to collect data through it on users, which can be used for traditional espionage operations.
TikTok denies it shares data with the Chinese government, saying that the concerns driving these bans are largely fueled by misinformation about our company. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Washington.
Other states that have issued bans include Alabama, Idaho, Iowa, Maryland, Nebraska, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Texas, and Utah. U.S. Armed Forces have prohibited TikTok on military devices. That's a look at one of today's top national stories. Here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we got a cold start for us today, and we're not going to do a lot of warming. We'll be partly cloudy at least, so again, some sunshine out there. Winds today could gust upwards of about 30 miles an hour again out of the west, just like they did yesterday, so be aware. 38 for the high. We head into tonight. Another below average low, but at least not too far below the average. Down to 25 degrees under mostly clear skies, so cold night ahead of us. But this is going to feel like paradise compared to what we have coming up. 38 tomorrow, 44 on Sunday. This is going to be like 84. Once we look at the end of the week. 33 on Monday, some snow. Looking at maybe 3 to 5 inches possible, but we'll have more refined amounts through the weekend for you. Down to 23. Cold Tuesday and Wednesday, 35, 33. 5 degrees Thursday. Maybe some more snow. Down to 0. 10 on Friday. Maybe some flurries Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. 17 and 15. Down to 5 Christmas Eve night, and possibly down to -4 by Christmas Day for the overnight low. A lot of cold weather, a lot of wintry weather on the way. We'll keep an eye on for you. We're back with more right after this. We've got clear skies to start our day for us today, but we also have cold conditions to start our day yet again, and we got to get used to it because it's not going to really get much better. 27 right now in Joplin, west wind at 14, making it feel like 16 degrees out there, so make sure you bundle up. 25 Iola, 27 Pittsburgh, Miami, Chautauqua, Lamar, Nevada, Carthage, Monette, Stockton, 28 Neosho, and 30 down in Anderson. Live look at the MoDOT camera at I-44 and Range Line. The roads are clear, and they're going to stay that way for at least the next couple of days, but big changes on the way. Green light for your morning drive as we will be clear and cold, and we have a green light for your drive home as we will be partly cloudy and cold. However, we could see some gusty winds a little later today. Kids on the bus, last time for the next couple of weeks or so. 28 degrees at 7 a.m. West wind starts picking up 10 to 20 miles an hour, and then as we get into the afternoon, those winds start gusting to about 30 miles an hour, 37 and partly cloudy by 3 o'clock. For today, we're heading for a high of 38 degrees with partly cloudy skies, again with some gusty winds later this afternoon. Much like yesterday, we're not talking just continuous gusty winds, but we could see a gust or two upwards of 30. Down to 25 tonight for our low. We'll have mostly clear skies across the region, which is nice. And this weather is going to feel pretty darn good compared to what's happening next week. 38 degrees tomorrow, mostly clear, partly cloudy Sunday, 44. That's going to feel a lot more like 84 degrees. 33 on Monday, and I say that because you can already see Thursday. Wait till you see after that. 33 Monday, snow possible. We're looking at right now, computer models saying roughly 3 to 5 inches of snow is possible, but that can change. A lot can change in the next 48 hours, so make sure you tune in 9 and 10 Sunday night. Sam Lane will have more up-to-date forecast totals on the possible snow on Monday. Cold Tuesday and Wednesday, down to 5 degrees Thursday, more snow possible, down to 0 Thursday night. Friday, we're cloudy and 10. Some flurries possible Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, 17 and 15, down to 5 degrees, and by Christmas Day night, we could drop down to -4 degrees. So very cold weather and some wintry weather on the way that we're keeping an eye on for you. We're back with a lot more right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, young Americans are dying at an alarming rate as a result of the opioid crisis. According to the CDC, overdose deaths have increased by 94% since 2019. Among people ages 14 to 18, and most of those deaths involved illicitly manufactured fentanyl. A review of practices at one major university health system in New York found alarming disparities in the type of pain relief given to women in labor. Researchers found African American women were 50% more likely not to receive any form of pain relief during childbirth than white women. For C-section deliveries, black women were more likely to receive a general anesthetic, while white women were more likely to have an epidural. A new rehabilitation program developed in the UK may help patients everywhere manage long COVID. After 6 weeks, scientists say participants in the program, based on a gradual increase in patient activity, reduce bouts of extreme fatigue, breathlessness, and headaches from an average of 3 a week to just 1, improving their quality of life. Well, the bright lights and roaring crowds at sporting events can be overwhelming for those with sensory challenges. So organizers at the World Cup are calling a timeout for fans who want their own space to enjoy the game. Tina Kraus has the story.
The thunderous scenes of celebration at the World Cup are what many soccer fans savor. But for others, the sensory overload outside and especially inside the stadium can become too much.
Sometimes it gets a bit too overwhelming within the stadium bowl, and this is a calm and secure environment that people can retreat to and enjoy the game from here.
Sensory rooms have opened in 3 of Qatar's World Cup stadiums.
If you really want to get in on the clapping, you can go like that.
To give children and adults with autism and other sensory challenges a quiet place to relieve anxiety.
Everybody should have the right and the opportunity to experience football. Football is a universal sport. It's a universal language.
They're all very tactile.
Allison Saraf has a child with autism and says getting an assist like this at such a huge event is a big win for everyone.
The hope is that we might ignite a new passion in a child or an adult that's never experienced this before.
Floor-to-ceiling windows let families keep an eye on the game while enjoying a safe space in the stadium.
You could find that one person actually will just stand here and just touch this one, just because it is actually it's just a really lovely kind of comforting feeling.
Having a space like this is a respite, and so it's kind of a warm hug.
And comfort is the goal, to give everyone the best shot at enjoying the game. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
Here in the U.S., many Major League Soccer teams, along with the NFL and NBA, now provide sensory-friendly rooms for their fans. Airports, theaters, and malls are also starting to add more of them. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
This is the future track for Monday at about 12:30. This is snow across the area. We'll talk more about these incoming snow chances and some much colder weather on the way when we come back.
Right now at 6:30, 'tis the season for the flu. Carrie Worthen sits down with a veterinarian to get some advice on how to protect man's best friend this flu season.
I got a little ahead of myself, but if you're traveling this weekend, we're looking okay. We'll have the clear roads, but as we head into next week, we got big changes on the way. But look at your forecast coming up.
And we talked to the driver of an EV truck headed down Route 66 about the growing need for charging stations in the 4 states.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is just about 6:29. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. In fact, if we wait just a couple more seconds here, it's going to officially be 6:29. It's a finally Friday. I just can't get over that because I'm not kidding. Like, I get in on Monday and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's only Monday. And then the next thing I know, it's Friday. Like, the week flies by so fast.
Yesterday was just silly, but yes.
Yes, it was. It has been an interesting week. It's been a good week for the most part, but...
Oh, I never asked you. Have you had any luck tracking that moonshine?
Oh, good Lord. If you weren't watching yesterday at noon, you'll need to go back onto our YouTube or onto our Plus app and look at yesterday's noon weather because, look, okay, people knew what I was talking about.
Well, and if you are a tracker of moonshine, then you will find that any snowfall we get next week will be very helpful.
Well, but unfortunately,
until
the new moon on Christmas Day, so unfortunately, there won't be a lot of moonshine out there. Good Lord.
There might be.
Oh, gosh. All right. Well, this morning, we're looking all right. We are clear and we are cold, and I'm not seeing any moonshine out there. 27 in Joplin right now. Feels like 16 degrees, really. If you didn't see yesterday's noon newscast, go back, watch it. It'll make more sense to you. 28 Chanute, 28 Pittsburgh, 26 Chatopa, 27 Miami. A lot of 27s. Again, Miami, Neosho, Monette, Carthage, Lamar, and Nevada. MoDOT camera, I-44 and range line looks good. Got a green light for that morning drive as we're clear and cold. The green light for the drive home as we're partly cloudy and cold. Kids getting on the bus. Boy, I bet they're celebrating. Last time they got to stand out there in this cold for a couple of weeks. 28 degrees at 7 a.m. West wind starting to pick up 10 to 20. Could gust upwards of 30 later today. 37 at 3 o'clock under partly cloudy skies. All right, today we're heading for a high of about 38 degrees under those partly cloudy skies. So a cold one and another cold night for us too. So we drop back down to 25 degrees for our overnight low. I did want to get into the 7-day forecast because we're 38 tomorrow, 44 Sunday. That's going to be nice. Snow Monday. Current computer models are suggesting 3 to 5 inches, and of course, as we get closer, we'll have more refined amounts for you, but we're looking at a good chance of snow Monday. Cold Tuesday, Wednesday, down to 5 Thursday with more snow possible, 0 Thursday night, 10 on Friday, 17 Christmas Eve with some flurries possible, 5 Christmas Eve night, and then for Christmas Day, we're looking at a high of 15 degrees, some flurries possible, and then Sunday night could drop down to -4 for the low. So enjoy what is going to seem like very mild weather while we've got it, because it is going to get just downright nasty with an Arctic cold front that's rolling in next week. And yeah, it's just, I mean, temperatures are going to plummet next week.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty gross.
It's going to be bad. Right. That's why we've talked about hibernating.
Make sure your heaters are working and you've got some protection for your animals, for sure.
Absolutely. Keep them inside.
Yeah, speaking of animals, humans are not the only ones who need to watch out for the flu this season. And although this pooch is healthy, there's a rise in flu cases this winter among canines. The dog flu is contracted between dogs and cannot spread to humans. A veterinarian at Broadway Animal Hospital in Pittsburgh says they've treated around 30 dogs within the past 2 weeks that have tested positive for the flu.
And then there's several different medications we can do to get them feeling better and just making them more comfortable. Since it is usually a virus, there's nothing we can do to cure it, but there's lots of things that we can do to help them be more comfortable for the week or two that it takes them to kind of recover.
To learn more about canine flu, click on the link at KOAMnewsnow.com. More and more people are switching to electric vehicles, but one of the main problems facing EV owners is a lack of charging stations, especially in more rural areas like the 4 states. The Biden administration this year announced a $5 billion plan to create a nationwide network of EV charging stations over the next 5 years. And we caught up with an EV driver in Galena, Kansas, who's making his way along Route 66, raising awareness about the growing need.
Type of charger that you put in is either a level 2 or a level 3, and what that means is how fast it charges the car. And the charging technology is advancing really fast. So pretty soon it will get down to where you get to a charger and you're there 10 minutes.
Currently, the fastest charger can fully charge a battery in about half an hour. Well, a major setback for the Biden administration came on Thursday when a federal judge suspended its termination of the Trump-era Remain in Mexico policy. As legal challenges against doing so play out, the policy had required asylum seekers to submit their applications outside of the U.S. Comes as influx of migrants at the border in the past few days sharply higher, with Title 42 set to expire next week. Jared Hill explains what this all means.
My biggest concern for them is not to die out here in the street.
Sandra Grace Martinez came from San Antonio to El Paso, Texas, on a mission to help the thousands of migrants that have crossed the border the past few days, many sleeping outside in the cold at night.
They have no food, no shelter, no water.
Thank you for all the help. The anticipated increased flow comes as the pandemic-era policy Title 42 is set to expire next week. A court ruled it's unlawful. The policy led to thousands of migrants being expelled from the U.S. for public health reasons, sent to Mexico or their country of origin before giving them a chance to claim asylum.
We have a crisis on the southern border. They can't deny it.
Republicans have criticized winding down of the policy. The White House says it will release more guidance on its post-Title 42 plans next week.
We have an intensive all-of-government effort underway to prepare.
In Denver, the Democratic mayor has declared an emergency as his city struggles to meet the needs of several hundred migrants that were bused there in the last month.
This is a clarion call to our elected officials at the federal level to put aside politics and recognize the humanitarian crises that have come to our borders.
Congressional officials tell CBS News that negotiations on a bipartisan compromise on U.S. immigration and border policy failed to gain enough support to pass by the end of this year. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
A potential deal would have included the legalization of a subset of the millions of unauthorized immigrants living in the U.S., as well as certain measures aimed at reducing illegal crossings along the U.S.-Mexico border. Meanwhile, 19 Republican-led states have asked an appeals court to delay the termination of Title 42, arguing that it will fuel an even greater increase in illegal border crossings. Even under Title 42, border agents are currently seeing an average of 2,500 people cross into El Paso, Texas every day. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. If it's Friday, you know Shannon Becker is here with his big 3 stories of the week. And one just might be about Christmas tree lights. Yep.
And we're going to take another look at that cold, wintry forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Welcome back. It's time to close out the week with our own Shannon Becker and his big 3 stories. Welcome back to the studio.
Good morning. It's a lot cooler. I'm glad Chris is here with that forecast.
Oh,
But
yeah, it's kind of miserable.
do people ever get mad at him? Has he experienced that yet? I haven't asked him.
I think he's getting it a little bit.
People are mad at him like he controls the weather.
Because it never rained,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
now it's just cold,
Yeah.
you know.
Let's take a look at the big 3 this week. Joplin news first. It was an SUV crashed into the side of a building. Now, Officer Dalton Farmer, Joplin Police Department tells us this SUV was driving on Range Line South passenger had to grab the wheel because the driver was experiencing a medical emergency as he crashed into the building there. Transported to an area hospital. He will survive as they are still repairing that building there.
What is the building that he?
It's like a strip mall sort of thing there, right there behind the old Mazzios at 4th and Range Line.
Okay.
Number 2 story, Joplin News First. What's live and local? It was last Saturday. A hole right here you see formed in the deck of the bridge, I-44 bridge over Main Street. Now we had a patch that broke like a year ago. It's not the same patch necessarily, but pieces of rock were falling down on the roadway below on the Main Street. Obviously very dangerous. So it was closed for about 12 hours. It was a little bit of a traffic nightmare Saturday evening. A lot of people were concerned about it, but they made that repair. You could see they were doing it all overnight, and then they had to let it cure. So by Sunday, everything was all back to normal, traffic and everything.
Well, that's good, and they were able to fix it.
Yep.
Great.
And then our number 1 story, everybody's talking about this week. It's crumble cookie. Highly anticipated. It's been more. I heard about this more than a year ago. They've had the building here. We caught workers going in the other day as they were getting ready for training. The husband and wife that own the building, own the business, I guess you could say. They're very excited about it. More on our website. You can check it out at KOAMnewsnow.com.
Yes, and we will find out how the cookie crumbles.
Yes, today at 8 they will open. Now, some people have said, I don't know anything about, they're big cookies. You can even buy a little cookie cutter. You cut it into fourths. So you probably don't want to eat a whole cookie in a setting. It's
you could share your
pretty
cookie.
big. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty big.
Family size.
And then our bonus story, as Tanya said, it's all about Christmas lights. This is the
Loving it,
Workman
it.
Family Christmas display in Carthage. You go and you can tune in your radio to the little station they have there, and you can see it as it dances to the music. So check it out.
So if people want to check this out,
Yeah.
where can they find like a location to this? Do you have like the address or anything posted?
We have it on our website. It's called our Christmas light list. And so you just look at that list, and it's in order and directions. You click on the directions, it'll tell you how long it is to get right there. So from my house, it was like 17 minutes. So it's really easy.
Handy.
The address is there, the list is there, and if you want to tell me others that are great lights, but they got to be good like this. I can't have it's got to be impressive to make the list.
We want it to be good.
So it's worth your time.
That's
And
cool.
Thanks to the Workmans for doing that. They do it every year. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm gonna have to go check that out.
Our Christmas light list.
All right, well, thank you so much. I guess the next time we'll have you in is right before Christmas.
Yes.
Wow.
All right.
We're getting closer to the end of the year.
I know. And we'll do like a big countdown to the end of the year, all of our big stories too. So.
That sounds like a plan.
All right.
Until
thanks.
next week then. Well, we'll have you back in the Fox show. How about that?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, we'll be right back. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A former youth minister in Joplin is going to prison in a child porn case. 25-year-old Nicholas Stevens pled guilty to receiving and distributing child pornography. A judge sentenced him to 6 years in federal prison without parole. Stevens was formerly the youth minister at St. Paul's United Methodist Church in Joplin. City of Pittsburgh has a new mayor. Pittsburgh City Commissioners elected Dr. Ron Sigley as the mayor for the new year. Sigley was born and raised in Franklin, Kansas, and has lived in Pittsburgh for many years and worked as a family doctor in Pittsburgh since 1979. He also has 34 years combined active and reserve duty service with the U.S. Army Reserves. His term will expire in December of next year. On Thursday, schools in cities in southeast Kansas were impacted after internet fiber lines are cut. According to Pittsburgh State University, both fiber links between Pittsburgh and Kansas City, as well as between Pittsburgh and Wichita, were cut. If both are out, that breaks the network ring for internet. Karen, the internet company, has since resolved the issue. The outage impacted institutions regionally, including Pittsburgh, Frontenac, and Fort Scott. Humans are not the only ones who need to watch out for the flu this season. Although this pooch is healthy, there's a rise in flu cases this winter among canines. Dog flu is contracted between dogs and cannot spread to humans. A veterinarian at Broadway Animal Hospital in Pittsburgh says they treated around 30 dogs within the past 2 weeks that tested positive for the flu. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
All right, quick check of the forecast. 38 degrees today, partly cloudy. Winds could gust upwards of 30 miles an hour. Heading into tonight, we drop back down to 25 under mostly clear skies. 7-day forecast, 38 tomorrow, 44 on Sunday. Snow likely on Monday, 33. Cold on Tuesday and Wednesday, even colder Thursday. 5 degrees for the high with more snow possible.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making seared scallops with Newburgh sauce in the Mr. Food Test kitchen.
All right, and your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. The migrant crisis at the Texas-Mexico border continues to worsen. Next on CBS Mornings, we're going to hear from families about their journeys to the border and the details of what they say they endured.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, if you missed it this hour, don't worry. We're taking another look at Shannon Becker's big 3 stories of the week.
Plus, the Ronald McDonald House stops by the studio to fill us in on the Gift of Light, Gift of Love event and how you can help out. That's going to wrap it up for us for now. We'll see you back here Monday morning, maybe snowy Monday morning at 5 a.m.
And we're going to do it all again, without the snow at least, today at noon.